not sustain wind topside.
Okay, so why don't you just start from the beginning and tell us what happened?
Splashed. Mark bearing and range.
I'm a security officer in Orlando, Florida. Around 2015-2016, I met Tim, who's now deceased. Tim was a supervisor at Lockheed Martin in Orlando. He hired me to build an apartment in his 3-car garage. He wanted it converted to a 2-car garage with a small apartment. The location was 5451 Brosh Road in Orlando. Tim claimed he was co-owner of the property with one of his co-workers from Lockheed Martin. I drove a patrol vehicle I used for security patrols where I worked. One day while I was at his property, he introduced me to Zach, explaining that he wanted to reassure Zach that I'm not a police officer. Zach was helping a man mow the lawn at Tim's property. The man was a short white male who appeared to be in his 50s. He drove a red pickup truck he used to transport his lawnmowers. Tim always drank and used hardcore drugs. There was no drug he didn't do, and he did the very worst. He asked me if I drank or did drugs, and I don't, and that made him uncomfortable. I told him I'm aware of the medicinal benefits of marijuana, and that I was part of the Morgan & Morgan push to legalize marijuana, but I told him I quit, and he pressured me a little and encouraged me to smoke. He said that Zach could get me good sativa at a low price, so I said okay. So I'm sitting there with Zach in the main house at 5451 Brosh Road. Zach called or texted his marijuana contact, and now we're waiting for the marijuana. Zach was playing a video game on his phone, and he suggested that I save his phone number as a future marijuana contact. So I enter his number into my phone to save him as a contact, and I ask him what his last name is, and he replied Bernhardt. Then a moment later, as an afterthought, he adds, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. When I asked him why, he replied, you don't know? And of course, at the time, I had no idea what he was talking about, and I was unaware that he was reported as a missing child back in 2000, the day before 9/11. One day I'm working on the garage apartment, and I can hear Tim telling Zach over the phone that because Zach owed him money, Zach would have to do whatever Tim wanted for as long as he wanted. The more I got to know Tim, the more I could see his predatory nature. He was constantly trying to manipulate people or exploit them. He loved saying people owed him something. He would later say I owed him money when in fact he owed me money. He constantly talked about how he was gay, and he constantly used the racist N-word and expressed racial hatred, which I found ironic because when he needed drugs, he got them from a black guy he pretended to like. I didn't like his character, and I would try to limit my conversations with him and kind of distance myself from Tim. I even started charging him more to work on the garage apartment. One evening after I was working on the garage apartment, I was spraying my vehicle off because it was covered in sawdust, and Tim walked right through the spray and then confronted me about it. So I said, you walked into the spray, Einstein, whose fault is that? Then he did something he shouldn't have done, and Tim invoked the name of my best friend and mentor, who has passed away into the spiritual world. This man was a sniper for the U.S. Army in Vietnam. He was an expert hunter, an expert gardener. He helped people and never exploited anyone. Tim, on the other hand, was a liar and a coward, so it infuriated me when he invoked Michael's name, and I made him agree to never say the name again, and I never worked for him again after that. About a year and a half later, I'm watching TV, and ID Discovery was showing Disappeared, Season 8, Episode 8, entitled About a Boy. I didn't watch it the first time it aired. This was a repeat episode, and it covered the disappearance of missing person Zachary Bernhardt, who disappeared in 2000 as a child. And I remembered meeting Zach at Tim's house and him accidentally telling me his last name is Bernhardt when I saved him as a contact. And there were other things that I recognized. He looked 100% like the childhood photos, but nothing at all like the computer-generated, age-enhanced image. The only similarity with the computer-generated image is hair color. They look absolutely nothing alike, especially the lower face and jaw. The computer-generated image is of a person at least average size, if not bigger than average, white American. The Zachary Bernhardt I met is a little guy, smaller than an average white male his age. He was short, around 5'5", maybe 125 pounds. He wasn't skinny, but he was small, extremely well-behaved and well-mannered, very kind and friendly. In 2018, all of this information was given to Clearwater Police Department. 6 days later, Tim was deceased. Detective Collymore played phone tag with me briefly, and then I never heard back from her. I'm choosing to remain anonymous. You're the only one I'm giving a statement to other than the police, and so your audience knows that's because I know you from working together in security.
And I appreciate that, and now you have agreed to come on the show. I practically had to beg you, and the reason I wanted to have you on, even though I covered this a little in a previous video, is to give the audience a little context for the upcoming live stream I'm having later this month, covering the Zachary Bernhardt missing person cold case. Christopher Gelson will be my guest. His organization is Protect Your Children, Inc., and he urged me to do a live stream covering Zach's case, and I agreed. It is scheduled for December 18th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be live chat, and I will also have the option to invite people to call on Skype at the end. I can understand why you want to remain anonymous. Why put yourself out there? Your experience with Zach and talking about that experience is one thing, but then you're getting into how you met Zach and the circumstances. The person you met him through is deceased now, and you admitted to smoking marijuana. Oh no. So now you know some people will dismiss what you said for that reason. And I've worked with you before, and we investigated identity theft cases, which is another reason to remain anonymous and be careful. Plus, we're going back in time. It's an old case, and you only knew Zach for a year or so, and that was 5 years ago. Before we finish, is there anything else you can tell the audience about Zach, the Zach that you met in Orlando?
The Zachary Bernhardt I met had family in the Orlando area who he stayed with on and off. Tim mentioned that in the past, Zach lived with him at 5451 Brosh Road at one point. One time while Tim was exploiting Zach, he said he was going to tell Carol if Zach disobeyed him, as if Carol would tell Zach to obey him. Well, it turns out Carol Bernhardt, grandmother of the missing child, lives in Winter Park, Florida, and anyone who knows Florida knows Winter Park is part of the greater Orlando area. I met a woman Tim told me was Zach's mother. She had blonde hair and her first name started with the letter B. She was dating a black gentleman who was Tim's drug dealer. I'm certain Zach sold me his marijuana. Zach was not a drug dealer. He was what's referred to as a middleman. The white woman had at least 2 small children with this man, who I took to be Zach's younger half-brother and younger half-sister. One time Zach moved out of Florida for work, but returned within weeks for whatever reason. There was information on the possibility that Zach grew long hair or dreads and is in a different state now, but that hasn't been verified. And I want to say, I'm not looking for Zach. That's not my job or my business or my responsibility. And if I knew where he was now, I would contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And Zach, if you're out there and you hear this, I have a positive opinion of you based on the short time I knew you. My advice to you is be independent, think for yourself, don't be afraid. You can call 1-800-843-7678, or online you can go to report.cybertip.org. That's report.cybertip.org, and say you're missing person Zachary Bernhardt. You would like to come forward to close your case. You don't have to talk if you don't want to. No one can force you to tell your story if you don't want to. No one has to get arrested if that's what you're worried about. It will make you a stronger person, and you'll be better off in life if you aren't a missing person. Being a missing person is just another thing someone can use to exploit you. You will be better off, and you will get even more support if you come forward to authorities. It doesn't have to be publicly. For any family or friends of the deceased Tim, I have forgiven him for any wrong he has done, but for some reason he never wanted anyone talking to the neighbors. If you're facing his property to the right of his property, for some reason he never wanted anyone talking to those neighbors, so apparently he had some kind of a history with them. I don't know what.
Okay, we're out of time, and I want to thank you for being on the show. Have a great night.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.